Welcome. Thanks for joining us today. We're doing this video today to tell you a little bit about what we do in our class with DJ called Storytelling with DJ. Here's my first question for you. Why do we want to avoid or find a different tool than counting on our emotions or just emoting when we sing?
Yes. Well, that really goes to the heart of the technique that we do, where we use intentions, some call them actions, some call them objectives, so that our focus is going to be completely on what we're doing in a given moment. We think of another like an imaginary person, and what are we doing unto that imaginary person? Because when we do that, we take away some of the option of nerves and fear coming into play, which they probably will in an audition. If we are really clear about what we're doing, that pushes aside that voice that says, where are my arms? Where's my head? What if I, is my clothes? All that chatter. So that's why, to your question, if we're endeavoring to create an emotional state, well, good luck in an audition when already there's the let's call it anxiety, trepidation, a little bit of fear, like, oh my gosh, I'm keyed up. Well, if you're keyed up, what if the emotion you want to play is completely relaxed? Good luck. You know? So, right. So we want to use this technique to have us be focused on what we're doing. Now, interestingly, as you have seen, Shannah, in the course of this work, when people are really focusing on what they're doing, they may actually cry. They may have a laugh out loud because they're so focused on what they're doing. The body mechanism just takes over and may create some sort of emotional life, or I should say emotional state. But we can't count on manufacturing emotional states. We just cannot do that because it's all artificial. We're in a room with maybe two people at the table, you know. So what you can do is I can always beg for mercy.
Right.
I can always cheer up a sad child. And then maybe the person behind the table will think I'm having an emotional experience. That's the goal. Have them believe something. You don't have to manufacture that something.
We are going to demonstrate that for you guys here in a little bit. But before we scoot to that, I want to ask a couple of questions now, kind of around that in specific regards to auditions.
Hmm.
And a couple of, I would say, the most common misconceptions we deal with when new actors are coming into the class to work with us.
Great.
So the first one is, if I'm going in for an audition, why would I not want to use the show context for the song that I'm taking in? I'm taking in a song from Annie Get Your Gun. Why do I want to not do it as Annie?
Well, that's actually a perfect example. So, Annie Get Your Gun, it's Berlin score. Those songs, to some degree, many of them were written essentially to be popular hits. I Got Lost in His Arms. You could put that in a lot of different shows, in a lot of different contexts, right? So that, if you're going in for Annie Get Your Gun, please know the context. But if you're taking it in as an initial call song, you get to make up the scenario. Again, why? Because when you fully fill out the scenario for you, that's your tool to be present to what you're doing in the moment in the room. That's what the people behind the table want to see, is somebody who seems present to what's going on in that moment. They're not thinking, well, if she wears buckskin, then I'll believe her Annie Oakley. They're not going to think that. They want you to be present to what you're communicating as a human, not focusing on whether or not I would cast you as Annie Oakley. If that's not the show, then we're not worried about that. We want to see the human in front of us having an honest communication that happens to be the song from a show with a context.
Piggybacking off of that, the second thing that we see a lot is this idea of showing something. I've lost count of the times that a singer will come in and go, well, I want to do this song because it's got my B flat in it, and also because I can belt this section really well. While we do want to know that you can sing, and while we do want to work on those things, from your perspective behind the table, why is it not near as important as actors think it is to come in and show the vocal stuff?
That's a great question. And I think it's because we want to see communication that has the semblance of human being honesty. And I guarantee you, if somebody's behind the table that's in a music department, music director, music supervisor, they will know what you're capable of. They can hear what they need to hear. If they don't, in your audition, your initial audition specifically, if they don't, they'll give you specific material. They will ask you to jump the hurdle from the show, but you don't need to jump the hurdle from the show just to say, look, I got that hurdle. If it's counter to you just being present as a human being with all the talents that you bring, you don't have to show off. What's this song from Drowsy Chaperone?
Yes.
Where she says, I don't want to show off no more, and then she shows off the entire song. Right?
Right.
We don't really want those people to come in the room. We want people to come in the room. We want somebody to come in the room, give me what you do. Let me see you craft a story through this particular material so I see the you within the material. And then if I need you to sing the B flat, and say, hey, do you have a B flat? Let's hear it. It's as simple as, rather than struggling to find a song that has that B flat, be ready. Don't think that's the reason to choose the song.
I would say it is one of the things that takes, I would say it took me a while, and I think it takes most actors a while to really trust. Okay, I have these two options here.
Yes.
This is the one that I connect to, that I have the strong intentions, that I've got the solid storytelling, but man, this one I know I sing really well. And it takes a lot of time, but anytime that we have seen an actor start trusting the storytelling and release this over here, this is when things start happening.
Magical.
And that's why we do this training in this class, is to get you over here, because this will take care of itself. That's the other thing we find in the technique, by the way, is that when this gets clear, this vocal stuff gets clear too.
Oh, like 100% of the time. 100%
of the time. So let's do it just a smidge of, DJ and I have never worked this one together. So it's a blank slate song. So we're going to do a little bit of kind of how this works with the intentions, and show you that you can use intentions that might be surprising to go somewhere with a certain song. So we're going to do an old standard, Nearness of You. Let's pretend I'm a student in class, DJ.
Okay, great. So hi, Shannah. Tell me, I would say first, who are you communicating with using this material?
I thought about it. I think I want to go with a friend, even though this is presented as sort of a lover. I think it's written that way. I like the idea of having this conversation with a friend who found out, I'm dating this person over here, and they're like, "Are you kidding?"
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
That guy.
Oh, so they're like a doubter. They're skeptical. So you have a need you have a need. Then you start with a need. The need is to change their mind to a degree because they're skeptical. And so what is the first intention you would do unto this person who is skeptical?
Tease, and maybe teasing the sense of like, I get it. I get why you think this, because you're right about some things.
Let's look at tease. What if it becomes flirt? Butter them up. Butter them up. So it's like you're buttering them up so that you can possibly then get in there and make your point.
It's not the pale moon that excites me, that thrills and delights me. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. It isn't your sweet conversation that brings this sensation. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you.
Great. I loved it. Great. It was beautiful. So inviting, beautifully inviting. For the heck, let's see if we can crank up the volume on the stakes.
Okay.
Okay. So what might be, if the stakes are higher, you really need to get through this skeptical person. What might be you be doing?
Let's see. How can I crank that up? I need to give them power somehow.
There you go. Empower them, encourage them, make them right.
It's not the pale moon that excites me, that thrills and delights me. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. It isn't your sweet conversation that brings this sensation. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you.
Yeah, I will just say the first was beautiful. That's far more interesting.
Okay.
Which is more interesting because I'm like, oh, this isn't perfect. It's not. And again, then I go that there's a full three-dimensional human being there, not singing a song. The first, beautiful, don't want to discount it, but it was a lovely song. Here I'm like, oh, this is a communication. There's something that I don't need to know that is backstory. I got backstory from that.
Okay. Yeah. So
Really
can
cool.
we take it to like a one that makes no sense at all?
Sure.
Um,
I made a list. Do you have one in mind?
or like squash them like a bug?
Sure, let's do it. Do squash him like a bug, and on the second half, do beg for mercy.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
It's not the pale moon that excites me, that thrills and delights me. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you. It isn't your sweet conversation that brings this sensation. Oh no, it's just the nearness of you.
Really masterful, Shannah. I mean, really great in that, you were so committed to both. And regardless of whether you would choose those intentions for this song, I was like, something's happening here. Really interesting. Something's happening. And that's again, the intentions are tools for you to stay engaged.
Yeah,
Your muscles are so strong that way. Now you really know how to do that. You just leap right in and do it. And that's exactly what this kind of technique, you were able to shift on a dime. You didn't have to think about how to beg for mercy.
I'm able to do that because I have come to class and done that and
Yes.
done that and done that and done that. It is
Yep.
like any other craft. I do this. I've practiced this the way you practice piano, the way you practice your scales, the way you practice anything else. And to be able to access it like that, and to be able to, and to be willing to jump off those cliffs, to get over the fight or flight part, it
Yes.
really it has to be thought of the same way you think of any other craft that you approach. And that's the work that we do in this class.
If I may jump in, something we had not thought we might talk about, but what you just did in terms of being able to shift on a dime, I threw intentions at you. That's another part of the skill set that comes from coming to class. If you go in an audition and you're in the callbacks, let's say, and you have been handed material, and the person behind the table, director, music director, whomever, choreographer, says, that was great. Can you try it in this way? That should excite you if your muscles are strong, as opposed to terrifying you and you just do it the same way you've been rehearsing it. This kind of technique gives you a larger bag of tools to not always like think it's going to be like this every single time. And when you go into, there's nothing, I will say, as a person behind the table, when I see somebody take an adjustment but not do an adjustment, I go, oh, they're gripped onto the choreography that they created.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate when I see that, because they may be talented, but I'm like, oh, they don't have facility to let go of what came before and say, what's happening right now. And this technique is about what's happening right now. What am I doing right now?
So if you have questions for me or DJ, please drop those, and we would love to see you in class sometime. Anything else you want to share before we go, DJ?
No, I think people can see I enjoy doing this so much
Yeah.
because I enjoy watching the growth. It's just it's there are miracles that happen in the classes. I love it.
Yes. And we will close with that. Miracles.